Hey, it's Thomas here, your aquatics expert with Big Al's, and today I'm going to talk to you about maintaining your filter and all the must-have necessary parts that you should have on hand in case something goes wrong with your filter so that you can deal with it rather than be stuck without a filter and your fish are in severe panic. Actually, they'll not know what's going on. You'll be the one panicking. Your filter is the life stuff of your aquarium. It has the incredibly important task of taking very toxic, harmful ammonia and breaking it down to nitrates, which is far less harmful and can be removed through water changes. However, if you do not have a filter, ammonia can build up to inhospitable levels that can ultimately be fatal for your fish. Having a suitable filter is step number one. But step number two, which is just as important, is making sure that it is properly maintained so it delivers optimal performance long term. This isn't hard to do either. Most filters are going to require some basic maintenance once every 1 to 3 months, depending on the make and model and how heavily stocked your aquarium is. So what does maintaining your filter entail exactly? You're going to need to rinse or replace the filter media as necessary. Your filter's going to have different types of media inside of it. That includes mechanical media like floss or sponges, chemical media like carbon, and then biological media like different types of substrates, bioballs, etc. When it comes to mechanical media, flosses should almost always just be disposed of. Rinsing them out, they usually stretch and then they don't work as well after. However, sponges, if you can rinse them clean and reuse them, that's great. If you find you can't rinse them clean, it's time for a new sponge. Chemical media such as carbon should be replaced monthly unless otherwise specified by the manufacturer. When it comes to your biological media, you actually want to rinse that off in water from the aquarium, because if you use tap water that has chlorine or chloramines in it, that will actually harm the bacteria, which means it won't be available for you when you put your filter back together and you expect it to convert the ammonia in your tank to nitrates, which can cause a tank crash. So just keep that in mind. Never tap water for biological media, always tank water, and it's happy. The next step is to take out the impeller and the shaft from your filter and clean it all up, because it's going to get gummed up with debris over time. And that's not good because it can slow down the flow in the filter. It can also cause overheating within the filter, which could burn out the motor, meaning you might not have a filter anymore. So maintaining that impeller shaft and the impeller well is of key importance to you. And it's not hard to do. You're simply going to take it out, give it a good scrubbing with a filter brush, do the same for the shaft, and then take that filter brush, stick it down into the impeller well where the impeller was sitting, and give that a good scrub and rinse everything off, put it back together, and that should keep your filter running smooth, completely free of friction for a very long time, extending the life of your filter and making sure that it's running at peak performance. Next, you're going to want to clean any of the debris that's in the actual filter itself. So this could be the filter case, the tubes running in and out of the aquarium, or even the lid that sits on the top. Sometimes it gets a little bit mucked up too. You're going to want to clean that up, and the reason being is any debris that's trapped in there is going to stay in the water column and continue to degrade, which could cause nitrates to rise or even ammonia to rise. So pull all that out, and also when you're cleaning the tubes, that's going to make sure that the flow coming through the filter is exactly where it should be and not diminished by things being in the way, essentially. So just grab a filter brush, give it a quick scrub, a quick rinse, and then put it all back together, and it's gold. Keeping your filter clean is really only one part of the puzzle. You should also always have some spare media and spare parts on hand just in case. You never know when you're going to have a failure with a part or require some emergency maintenance, and not having the correct parts or media on hand can be the difference between a small hiccup and essentially a disaster for your aquarium. The last thing you want is for your filter to become inoperable over something simple like a spare O-ring. Here's a list of components that we recommend you have on hand at all times just to be safe. You should always have 2 or more replacements worth of filter media, mechanical and chemical. You'll also always want to have a spare impeller for your model of filter, a spare impeller shaft for that filter, and spare O-rings if necessary. For things like canister filters, this is super important. You know, we'll even go as far as to tell you to have a spare filter on hand, something just brand new in the packaging. Doesn't have to be expensive or huge, but it can be there just in case you have a failure with your filter that you can't deal with, or maybe the motor's burnt out and it's just time for a new one. You won't be stuck without a filter at all. The nice thing is you can use some of the media from your filter that is no longer working in that newer filter just to make sure that your biological is covered. Trust me, it makes a big difference. We get calls about this. Every once in a while, somebody calls up and says, you know what? I need a filter rushed because my filter went down and I don't have a filter. But if you just had, a $20 filter, spare one, just sitting around, that would completely alleviate the situation. It's like having a little first aid kit for your fish tank. At the end of the day, cleaning your filter and having a contingency plan in case something goes wrong is really just a part of being a successful and responsible aquarium keeper. And it's really not that hard to do, and it makes a big difference to your fish. They'll be happy and they will swim and be fantastic and won't have to worry about the daunting pressure of filter failure potential. If you guys are interested in having a look at our wide selection of filter media or parts, you can click either here or here, depending on what you're after. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below or reach out to us on social media like Facebook or Twitter. Feel free to check out our Instagram page. We have a lot of really cool content there for you as well. And don't forget to subscribe because we have new videos coming out every week. And as always, you should keep on tanking. This isn't hard to do either. Most filters are going to... This isn't hard to do either. Most filters are... This isn't hard to do either. This isn't hard to do either.